So now that we have kind of the outline of the story, these are things that you're going to work on once your kind of story is done. So once you write it, this is you kind of going back for your like maybe fifth or sixth draft. So once the story is in, you can ask a reader. I always tell students to do this. Hey, ask them to read your essay. Don't tell them what your insight is, what you want them to gain. And after, just say, hey, what did you learn about me? Because if you're hoping that they learn one thing and they're getting something totally different, either you change your insight and make sure your story is strong enough for that, or you got to change your story, right? So remember, feedback is really great. It's a gift. It's really cool. And you're not going to take it personal. So you don't give them any prompts like, oh, I want you all to kind of get this. No, let's just see what they get. Because remember, you're not going to be able to do that with an admissions counselor. They're going to get your essay. They're not going to have opportunity to talk to you about it. So now that your essay is done, your story's solid, right? And now we're going to do the editing pieces. So these are some small things that you want to do. You want to make sure you hook them with the first sentence. You can start the first sentence off with one word. You can start it off with a quote. You can start it off with like a sentence in another language because that's something you heard your mom say as you're setting up this story. You can start it off with anything that you want, but just make sure it hooks them. All right. So I have seen some amazing first sentences, but I think your first sentence and working on that should be towards the end. Make sure you have a clear start, middle, and end. That's going to help with the flow. You want to use action words to speed it up. Remember how I talked about, I don't want to speed up something like I went online and I went on Google. It's like, okay, great. You're going to waste 50 words on that. Just be like, immediately I booked the ticket. Right. I went online and I saw that Google had a sale and I just went for it. Right. So just speed it up on certain things. Engage your senses with your words. So try to use anything that makes us feel like we're there. Remember, we're trying to be in your shoes. So what did you see? What did you hear? What did you taste? If you're talking about, your mama's like pudding, right? Like if you're talking about being home and what home means, I want to know what that pudding tastes like, right? What does it feel like to you? Is it magic in your mouth? Like, is it soft like clouds? I'm no lyricist or anything like that, but you can kind of like spice it up. And then use easily understood metaphors, super important, especially sometimes if it can take away. You never want to confuse the reader. So always use cultural like things that like help people understand who you are. But if there's something that's an inside thing that people just might not get, you don't want to say it. And then you definitely don't want to have to use a whole bunch of words to explain it. So ask yourself, is this important? Should I keep it or should I let it go? Again, slow it down to evoke emotion. So I sat in the room, I looked around, I realized that people were speaking in multiple languages. I got so afraid on the inside because I felt like, oh no, not only am I not good enough, but this was a mistake. Right? Again, I slowed it down. We're still sitting in that class. The teacher has not spoken, but these are all things that are going on in my mind. And again, every word matters, no repeats. So say it once and say it with impact. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you say something like, I felt nervous about going there by myself and learning this language. In the next paragraph, when you get there, don't say again, I had so much anxiety being there. I just knew that this could be a mistake. You literally told us the same thing twice. Don't. Just say it once, make it impactful, say it the best way, and understand that we got it because you don't have a lot of space. If this was like your book, I'd be like, you know what, say everything you want to say. Say it as many times you want to say it. But because it's an essay and because you have a word count limit, I want you to go ahead and just determine, did I say this already? One activity you can do with that is you can read your essay and start sentence by sentence. This is when it's done and you're trying to cut down things because you'll probably have to cut. You read the first sentence and then you, with that first sentence in mind, you read every other sentence and say, did I say it? 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 If you can get through the whole essay and you didn't say exactly in another way what the first sentence was, you go to the second line. And then before you know, you'll go line by line and all of those sentences will have been kind of determined that they're not duplicated. All right. So that's what you want to do when you focus on the flow because it keeps the reader interested.